he really did the minimum. Like he came out, what was it, a week and a half or 2 weeks before the election, and he took a picture and made a tweet about it. Like he wasn't like stomping in Florida and Pennsylvania and like all the battleground states, introducing Trump and like writing a song about him and stuff like that.
Who was that, Lil Pump or somebody that came out on stage?
Yeah, Lil Pump. Like Lil Pump could come deliver my pizza right now with a shirt that said Lil Pump, and I wouldn't know it was Lil Pump.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined with my co-host, Buff and Razi. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
I want to talk about WandaVision real quick because I poo-pooed on it the first 2 episodes, and deservedly so. I didn't know where the hell they was going. I did know they was going somewhere with it, so I said I was going to stick with it. The end of episode 3, it picks up, and then 4, that don't take off running, man. So anybody that's a Marvel fan that watched the first episode and was like, what the hell is this? And you just checked out, I get it. I fell asleep on the first 2 episodes a couple of times. But make yourself watch them because the payoff for episode 4 is worth it. It's worth it, man. So,
I'm about 10 minutes out. I got about 10 minutes left. I'm halfway through episode 4. Okay. But all I will say is, oh, snap.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's all I can say.
So that and also, are either one of you brothers like real big into, I guess, horoscopes and your birth signs and all that stuff? Because that's trending right now on social media. Like, what's wrong with my birth sign or whatever like that?
Z's really into it. Z's into like numerology and horoscopes and all that stuff. I'm one of those people. All I know is what a Sagittarius is, and that's because I am one. And Virgo, because she's one. That's about it. And Capricorn.
I know Gemini. I know Gemini. I know I'm a Gemini. That's about it.
Yeah. I know what a Gemini is. And I don't even know when Gemini is, but I just know it's supposed to be just because you hear all bad shit about Gemini. And my son's a Gemini. So now I think I know what Gemini is.
They're just all so broad in general, man. And
yes,
people take them seriously, but
yes,
and I don't want to poo-poo on them. But
Aries like to breathe air and drink water, and they prefer love over hate. And you know, they want to be happy. It's like, yeah, that's me. That's me. You know.
I mean, it's like those new medicines that the pharmaceutical companies come out with. It's like, do you feel tired sometimes? Hungry?
Yeah, I feel tired.
Are you ever thirsty? Do you go to sleep after 10 o'clock? Well, this
you just subscribe like 70% of the population.
And then it'd be some cough and cold medicine. Just something random. Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, but that's all I got, though.
No, how do you feel about it? Are you upset with the challenge? Because you know somebody over here, we're not going to say any names.
Listen,
challenge shaming us last week.
I try not to get upset. I mean, I don't pay much attention. It's just something I noticed. A lot of people are doing it. So let the people have fun.
Yeah. Did you figure out what's wrong with your sign?
No, I haven't even attempted. No.
You brought it up and I didn't either though. So.
Well, I read other people's, and when I saw some, I kind of glanced over them, but I did see the Sagittarius, and honestly, nobody really had anything bad to say about Sagittarius, and that was actually part of the running joke. And I was like, well, you know, outside of we work too hard and love hard, you know. That people say in a job interview, like, yeah, I think sometimes I'm too up for myself and I'm a hard worker. Those are my negative qualities. So
that is a relevant negative quality, though. I hate when people try to poo-poo on that for a job interview. It definitely is, because I am that guy that's a workaholic, and so. But
I think it's a default. It's the 7 of the job interview.
Yeah,
I'm a 7 of the job interview. It's like it's not enough. It's understandable, but it's the best negative quality to have.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah, I'm going to show up late sometimes and I'm probably going to leave early. That's not what gets you the job. Yeah. Hey, I work too hard. If the worst thing about Razi is he works too hard, I can deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and folks, for just an interview tip is find a negative quality that you can say how you turned it around and how you're working on it. That is a huge thing for interviewing managers. So you'll say things like, sometimes I find it hard to concentrate on a single document or something like that. But what I do is, I close my email so that I don't get pings while I'm working on that document or something like that. So that's a way for you to kind of bring it back around to you fixed it, you're working on it, and things like that. So that's just an interview tip from HR. Anyway, I want to talk about GameStop. And not even about games and video games that I love. About this good old pump and dump that our folks had. So for anybody who don't know, GameStop went from, I think it was like $2 at one point, all the way up to over $500 a share within like a 3-day period. And so it was crazy. Wall Street went crazy. The trading apps like stopped letting you buy the stock because everything that happened. But I think I had a couple people ask me about it, and so I wanted to try to explain it in kind of the simplest terms possible. If you guys will give me a second to do that. So basically it all started when GameStop sucks as a company. So GameStop used to be the best company out there when it came to video games. That's where you went and bought your stuff and everything. So it was doing really good on the stock market. Then all of a sudden everybody went digital. GameStop started losing money. They went bankrupt a couple times, trying to restructure, and stock fell to like $2 a share. But for some reason, retail investors and speculators like it. But there's this company called a hedge fund. Hedge funds are kind of like, they make counter bets so that they can protect investors' money. And so they did this thing called a short, where they basically borrowed shares from an investment firm, sold them at say $20 a share, and then they think that the market's going to go down or the stock price is going to go down, and then they buy it when the price goes down, and then they give it back to the brokerage firm, and then they take the spread. So if I shorted it at 20, I think it's going to go down. It goes down to 15. I buy it at 15. I made $5 in it. That's how a short works. Hedge funds went and they shorted GameStop. So there's this Reddit thread called Wall Street Bets. Wall Street Bets is just like a whole bunch of like retail novice investors, and some of them might be actually savvy investors that are just like picking stocks and playing casino with the stock market, right? And they were just like, we don't like this hedge fund. They calling us out. They saying that GameStop sucks. And so what we're going to do is make them go bankrupt. And they all decided to just go buy GameStop for no apparent reason. So it went from $2 to $10 to $15, start going up. And the hedge funds lost billions of dollars, like with a B. And some of them had to go bankrupt. So, but all because, the higher up it goes, at some point they got to buy that stock back. And so they ended up buying the stock back. They went bankrupt. But Wall Street didn't like that because it's market manipulation, which is technically illegal. Like if you try to force a stock to price to move outside of kind of normal market factors, that's called market manipulation. And so it's illegal. So the market, the Wall Street and the trading platforms did what they're supposed to do. Actually, everybody's trying to come at them and say that they're wrong for not stopping trading and stuff. They did what they were supposed to do and stop people from trading it because it was manipulation. There was no market reason for the price to be moving like that. So it started tumbling back down. So that was kind of the last few days in a nutshell. The problem is that a lot of novice investors and folks that really didn't understand what was going on were buying GameStop at like $450 because they like, oh, it's moving up. It's on the way up. I need to jump in on this and get on this bandwagon. And they were jumping in at like 450, and all of a sudden, it gets to 500 and then it drops. And I think right now it's sitting at like $100 a share. So they bought it for $50 and they lost all their money down to that $100 a share. So that's really why the market or the Wall Street and the trading platforms were like, no, we're not going to do this. And so now they have this whole long list of stocks that they're saying we're not going to let people trade on, because that Wall Street Bets has this list of stocks that they want to try to do the same thing through. AMC, Lazarus, Sundial. There's a few of them. BlackBerry, all of those. And so that's why there's this fight of the regulators, the stock market, Wall Street, trying to normalize and regulate the market to make sure that it is somewhat stable. And these folks are just like, no, Wild West, I want to do what I want to do. And so there's this argument, and I'm not going to take a side on it because I can see both sides, but just know that the market and Wall Street is doing what it's designed to do. So
which is keep the rich richer.
You're probably going to lose. And if you want to change it, you're probably going to have to go through like Congress and get some regulations changed so that you can change it and be able to do what you want to do.
GameStop shot back up to $322 because $322 a share right now because Robinhood, which is one of the main trading apps, caught a lot of flack, and they reversed course because they had stopped the buying of some of those stocks you mentioned, but they opened it back up again, and so it shot back up to $322 right now. But I got unknowingly caught up in it because I remember I shared with you guys in the group. I said, hey, I just read up on BlackBerry. I think I'm going to get a few shares of this. That order wound up getting canceled. But I had bought in at I think it was 14 a share. And then the pre-market next day was jumped up to 20 something. I didn't realize it was caught up in all of this at the time. So I'm a little victim of it too, man. Cause I thought, I had found something because of the Motley Fool of reading up on them. And that was one of the stocks they suggested that BlackBerry is doing some new things. So good stuff, man. And it also had AOC, Ted Cruz, and Don Trump Jr. all agreeing on something for a change with everything that's going on.
And it might be BlackBerry might be a good long-term play. You got to read more into it. I did buy into Sundial. I was looking into that for a while. And then I saw somebody else mention it and it was low. So I bought a couple of shares of that, long-term play.
I've got Sundial. I had GameStop, but I've had it for months and months. I had a long time ago because I felt like they were going when PlayStation and Xbox announced that they were going to continue to use discs is when I bought GameStop, because I felt like they had at least 2 more years out of them, 2 to 3 more years before everything went all digital. So that's when I bought it. And so I ain't gonna lie, I made a little money off of this run up, but I
made some. I should have sold because my portfolio, I lost some money this week. And I haven't made any moves. It was just, Tesla dropped. I don't know what's going on with the market as a whole. I think people are pulling out, and I'm thinking things are turning back around next week. There's a lot of volatility in the market. There's some uncertainty, I'm assuming. And so hopefully in the next few days, few weeks, but not really too worried because once again, I'm in for the long haul.
Yeah, it's earnings season. That's what a lot of what happened is just earnings, this volatility with them stopping trading and things. Market just kind of poo-pooed this week, but it dropped, I think, over 700-800 points today. I think it was the worst day in trading since October or something like that. So,
I lost.
A lot of folks lost money this weekend. So, but that's I wanted to explain that. And I don't know if y'all heard about T.I. and Tiny. This is breaking news for us. But they out there swinging, and now people coming back hitting them with the whole. What is it? Bill Cosby that, they drug people and made them have sex with them.
Oh, I saw something about it. I didn't really look at it, because
we'll get more information as it comes out.
Yeah, it's wild, man.
So, but yeah, it's a wild little, but really my thing is, this is a little different than the Bill Cosby one to me, because from the sounds of it, everybody was kind of willing participants.
It sounds good until you wake up next to a Who, because Tiny definitely was like a Who from Whoville to me. So, but you can edit that out.
Wow. He's gonna keep it in, bro.
You know it. That's all I got, man.
So am I the only one that thinks she looks like a who?
I'm not touching. I'm not touching any of it.
I'm not judging her. I'm
not judging. She said she looks like a who.
She's a little whoish. I'll give you that.
Bob, come on. You gotta admit she's a little whoish. She has some who-like qualities, bruh.
I can't confirm or deny. I don't know.
You know what? All right. I really don't have much. I'm gonna go ahead and kick into it because I've been commenting on your stuff. I'm gonna close it out later with something that I wanted to talk about. But Razi, is my goddaughter there for our joke?
Yeah, man, you know it.
All right, listen, grab her.
Sophie.
Yay!
I like your glasses.
Hey, Sophie.
Hello.
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 I have a good joke.
I believe you, baby. Give it to me.
Okay. Why didn't 4 ask out 5?
Because
4 didn't.
Why didn't 4 ask out 5?
I know 7, 8, 9, but I don't know about 4 and 5. I got nothing, Soph.
Because he was 2 squares.
2 squares.
What's the third?
She didn't say 2 squared. She said 2 squares.
I got it, baby. That was a good one. I would have never got that one. I would have never got that one.
Nah, no,
I would have never got that one.
No way, I've gotten that one.
2 squared.
All right, come on.
Bye-bye.
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 My glasses were crooked!
Man, she off the chain.
Alrighty. So we can kick it off. Let me get my question together. And hold on, just for Buff.
What's up?
Let me show you something. You see that?
Here we go. No, I know. I'm aware of how tiny it looks.
You can't tell me that's not who-like qualities, bro. It's all in here. She's even who complected.
Oh man.
I don't know what just happened, bro. She's who complected, bro. I'm just saying.
That's Cliff Harris's queen, man.
Well, obviously not.
Well, it is. They just like
you
to
know
have
what?
a bunch of subjects. Some of the details, though, man, was damning. Like dragging women across the floor, and by the way, if Razi leaves this in, folks, I didn't know we were recording. We're just supposed to be shooting it. That's on him.
All right. So my question, actually, I think what Razi was talking about earlier, and taking a page from one of our other podcasts that we quite frequent, the Bruh's Bookshelf, when they were talking about the black tax. In their last episode, they were talking about finances and things like that. And the fact that Razi had to take time and explain to a lot of us, myself included, about what was going on with GameStop and everything. I don't think a lot of us are aware, or as aware or knowledgeable as we should be on finances. All right, can we agree to that?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, financial literacy is huge. Now I will tell you that financial literacy can't get you out of poverty.
Yeah,
because I think a lot of richer or middle class people feel like, oh, if you had financial literacy, you wouldn't be poor. I'm like, well, if we raise the minimum wage, they wouldn't be poor either. But let's, we can go either way on this.
Yeah, I agree. So my question is going to be about around finances, and but I'm gonna bring religion into it. What part has the black church played in our financial situation, our financial literacy, and what role do you think they should play in our financial literacy or financial planning?
It's one of those questions where you have to make sure in your answer that you're not just painting the entire community of Black churches as one. But for me, I'll say the role it has played for, I think, a lot of people, not everybody, there's always exceptions, of course, but for a lot of people, it's definitely made people content with what they had, and that, you know, the Lord is always going to bless you with whatever you need, and just pray about it, that type of mentality right there. So it's made people content. I think the role it can play is to, like, there's all type of different ministries in the Black church, and one of those ministries can be financial literacy. Like Razi said, it doesn't prevent poverty or anything like that, but it can help. It helps to know certain things, to take advantage of certain programs and different things that are out there that can help boost your, I guess, financial status in life. So that's one of the things they can do. And I don't know, the church, I mean, I can't think of too many other reasons the Black church can really play a role in it, man. Let me see what Razi got, and then maybe I'll come back with something. But those are
I'll let him finish, and
when you first asked that.
I'm gonna have a follow-up question, and I'll probably ask both of you.
Like Byron said, we can't paint a broad brush. If we think about the traditional Black church, like where we grew up in, it's very different than a lot of churches today. Church has evolved over time. You know, even back in civil rights movement, right? Like the church was the cornerstone of the civil rights movement, and the church did a lot with helping people navigate financial woes. You know, there's always been that benevolence fund where you can go and if you needed something, you could go get it. So I feel like the church back then was a stopgap or a like last ditch effort to make sure that, you know, if I'm about to lose my house, I can go to the church and maybe I can get it. Yeah, they're going to question the heck out of me and they probably going to judge me after. But worst case scenario, I can get my bills paid this month. So I think that was there. Were they teaching true financial literacy then? No. And could it have helped? I do think it could have helped, but a lot of times it would have been the blind leading the blind. It wasn't like you had a lot of financially literate or financially fit people sitting in the church that would be able to help. And society, even especially back then, was very classist. So not just racist, but classist. So the folks who did know about finances weren't trying to teach the people who didn't. It just wasn't that wasn't what they really were trying to do. Fast forward into today, I think churches do a pretty good job of offering financial literacy. I know I've done a lot of financial literacy type of service work at churches. That was kind of one of my primary focuses, was going in the churches and doing financial literacy, explaining credit and how to use credit, mortgages and things. I did a lot of that when I was in the branches, mainly because we had to check our Community Reinvestment Act box. And so you'd go in and do that, and then you report it back so that we can, continue to grow as a bank. So it's part of what banks have to do anyway. And I think churches kind of piggyback on that to be able to do it. So I think churches do a little bit, but I really don't feel like it's the church's place to teach that. We try to lean on churches to do everything and be everything to everybody. And ultimately the church is there for your spiritual guidance, and anything they do beyond that to help the community and stuff is great. But I think the crux of it is to get your soul to heaven. That one point blank period. That's what they're there to do. Because I feel like what happens is we start to give the church too much power if we start leaning on the church to do all these other things. I feel like we as a people need to kind of be there together and help each other out outside of the church for all that other stuff. So this is kind of my take on it.
Yeah, okay. I understand that. So let me ask you, what do you think the church is teaching? I think Byron kind of hit on it. Razi, you talked about what their expectation is, but they're teaching something. I feel like whether we want to or not, I feel like they have a message around finances.
Oh, yeah, that your tithes come first. Give your 10%, and then you can do whatever you're going to do with the rest. That's what they teach.
Byron, what do you think they teach?
They teach a little more than that, don't they, Razi, or no?
Not when it comes to money. Nope.
Yeah, they definitely want that tithe and offering. No, they teach. You mean specifically to money or just overall? What do they teach?
I think when it comes to finances, or what is their image? Their not necessarily teach. I think there could be a.
So I know some
unspoken.
Some churches, and a lot of times you'll have sermons that warn you against. I guess you could say an easy way to break it down is they warn you against living above your means. You don't want to become a slave to, debt and stuff like that. And I think that's the main message that they give. And it's a very important one, and it ties into financial literacy and different things to help avoid, being in a tough situation to where you can't keep up and you do wind up, falling behind and stuff. So I think that's the main thing they do teach. Besides tithing your 10%.
Yeah, for one, because nobody even knows where they get the 10% from. Like there's no biblical text that said I've come across that says 10%. Yeah. For one, and that's just like everybody knows that's that magic number, 10%. I don't remember Jesus saying, "Ye of little faith, give your 10% first." It was no.
And correct me if I'm wrong. It's not necessarily money, right? It can be your time as well, right? People just always defer to money.
That's debatable. Depends on where you go. Some people said they want your money. Yeah. Like, we need your money. We want your time and stuff too, but we want your money. I'm not going to go that far into it, but it's funny how they are very direct.
But the Hebrew word tithe literally means tenth. That's how they got 10%.
Okay, I'll take that. That finally somebody gives me that answer. I've been asking that for years. Let me guess, you Googled it?
Yeah, Google knows.
Thank you, our resident genius. But I think they teach us about tithing. I think they're very adamant about tithing. But I think the unspoken message that we get, it's not necessarily finances. Byron, you kind of hit it on, like, you'll provide it for, God's going to provide. And I think they teach you how to live your life and prepare for the by and by. Like, don't worry about all that stuff. Don't worry about money. Because once you make it to glory, the streets will be paved with gold. It's like, don't worry about finance. Don't worry about leaving a legacy. Don't worry about planning for today and planning for the future, because you'll be taken care of. Like, to me, I don't think they should give us, necessarily stock classes or, anything like that. But I think there should be more of a generational planning message. They don't even have to give us the answers. Message. Like, what are you doing, Mr. Brother Mancarella, to make sure your kids are going to be okay? Your kids' kids are going to be okay. We can have financial literacy classes. To me, and I mentioned this before, and I mentioned it several, and I'll keep preaching this message till the cows come home. I think they should invest in Black insurance companies and get Black insurance reps to come in to make sure that their members all have life insurance plans, at least burial insurance plan, and talk about those things and say, making sure that, you can prepare for the future. You need to make sure if something happens to Big Mama tomorrow, that her burial's covered, and if she can afford it, to leave something for the grandkids or you and the family. Like, what happens at the beginning every year, we had life insurance reps come in and make sure that Brother Mancarello renews his plan. Hey, when you get that refund check to the beginning of the year, let's pay off our life insurance up front. It saves you money. Let's make sure that everybody in the church has life insurance. You need some place to go. We have Brother Byron Evans over here that makes sure everybody has a plan, and he's going to work with you.
I will tell you that growing up, at Mount Sinai Baptist Church, they did that. They had that guy that was like, but the issue comes in, you still have to, again, you can't financial literacy yourself out of poverty. Folks didn't have that extra $100. And so they're weighing, do I pay my bills or do I pay that $100 for that life insurance policy? So, that's where, I think the Black church a lot of times, they can offer it and they can talk about it, but you still can't force folks to do any of this stuff.
But if they truly want to help their community, I'm going to tell you to tithe before I tell you to make sure you take care of your home. I can tell you to give me money. There's tithe, there's offering, there's a building fund, there's pastor's anniversary. There's all these things I will literally ask you for money for monthly, weekly, actually. But I can't say, hey, we're going to take 10% of Brother Mancarella's tithe and make sure we have him a life insurance plan. And the church builds into that. There's ways around it. We're giving excuses. I feel like there's ways we can do it. It doesn't have to be a big plan. It's burial insurance. Everybody in our church has a $10,000 minimum life insurance plan that helps with burial. Point blank. And hell, if the church is smart and I think they can do it, they can take out additional policies, especially on some of these elderly people, and make them. I'm just saying. So what happens is when Sister Bessie goes to the upper room, we just made $50,000 off of Sister Bessie. So all that tithing she's done and that 10% that she gave, and she would have gave more. This is how she gave more. And guess what we can do? Some of that can go to the building fund, but some of it's going to go back to making sure that when Sister Bessie's family can't pay their tithe or can't pay their portion of their life insurance plan, we have a fund for that. I think strategically, if we want to make it better, I'm not saying they have to teach everybody to go invest all this money, but it's like, let's do the basics. If there's a chance to build, because I think it's a messaging. We tell you why to tithe. We tell you, we preach that. We give you all these. I've seen pastors like, we got one more. I know somebody else want to give $50. Come on. I see you out there. The Lord is telling me you out there. Like, they will sit there and hold church up to reach their goal. So they're not scared to ask for money or make you feel like you owe money. But when it comes to money that could potentially benefit you, I know it's still a business and they're non-for-profit and they still have to be able to function. But I feel like they'll ask for money. The messaging we get sometimes is misconstrued because I've heard so many, especially the older generation, money's the root of all evil. And so a lot of times they teach you like having a lot of money or being wealthy, like, is a bad thing. Not saying all churches, but I've heard that. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard that as well. But then at the same time, they're telling you, don't really worry about all that rising because God's going to provide. And when you make it to the by and by, it's all going to work. The streets align with gold and like all this stuff. And they're telling you, hey, money's bad here, but when you get to heaven, there's going to be gold everything. All gold, all in my watch. I don't know, man. I just get frustrated when I think about it. And that's kind of the conversation that was having on that the Bruh's Bookshelf was having at one point about it. And they were trying to get to that, like, hey, the church, they kind of teach us like, we don't have to worry about money. They don't teach us about money. Mm-hmm. And not saying that they have to be financial planners, but it's not that hard to get certain programs in place. It's not that hard to at least preach a messaging about building a legacy. Hey, I know you're preparing for the upper room, but what happens when you leave, Brother Mancarella? You need to make sure that your kids and your grandkids are taken care of. So it's your duty as the head of the household to do these things. It's your duty to make sure you're providing. And if you preach that message enough, we'll get it. Even if they're not teaching us about finances, like it's part of your mentality is, hey, I'm supposed to, the church taught me I'm supposed to do more and provide a legacy or build a legacy for my family. There's only been one church I've been to that I've heard messaging where they're talking about building a legacy for your family. One church. And that was in Houston. They have a pretty progressive pastor who's a young brother. He's probably like, call it 7-8 years older than us. He's not young anymore because, damn, we're not young.
We're middle aged.
Yeah, but, yeah. When I first started going, he was, he was young. So, but.
But what was the size of that church?
That church was huge.
Exactly. Remember how we talked about white church and black church? Like, or not, but like mega churches versus small churches. But small churches don't teach that way because a lot of their congregation don't have that extra money to do any of that stuff. And so that's a lot of times why when you start making a lot of money or making more money, you move to one of those larger churches because they're teaching more to your financial bracket.
I understand what you're saying, but I think it's almost like
not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is generally what ends up happening is that those larger churches have larger tithing people, folks, they get more. And so what ends up happening is they can talk a little bit more about things like that. And it hits home with their congregation. Think about if we went in and that pastor was talking through legacy and all that. And these folks like, I can't pay my bills. Like they want to go into church and I'm sorry, you want to feel a little bit better when you leave church. So if I can't pay my bills and I go to church and my pastor's saying it'll all be good in the by and by, don't worry about money right now and everything, I can feel a little bit better when I walk out. So guess what? I'll come back. So because again, it's a business. I'm trying to get these doors back in. If my customer satisfaction is not up because I'm talking legacies and stuff and these folks can't pay their bills, I'm not going to actually get to, grow my base.
Does that help us or hurt us? Especially if you can't pay your bills. But guess what I'm going to do? Guess what I'm going to do before the end of that service?
I'm going to ask for my tithe and offering. But what I'm telling you is that, and that's why I say I don't know if it's the church's responsibility to do it. We can say we want them to do it, and it is a good venue to do it, but I'm sorry. I mean, it's a finite amount of time that they trying to fit all this stuff in.
And
they worried about my finances.
If your choice is between tithing and paying a bill, then you shouldn't be tithing. And the church is supposed to be expressing that. Like you're supposed to be a cheerful giver. Not like when you give, it shouldn't be any hesitation or grudge about it or worry or concern. So if you're not in a position, churches some do, probably not enough and probably not as forceful as they should, but they should be putting off that message of, hey, we do want you to tithe, we do want you to offer, but make sure you're in the financial place where you're able to do it freely.
Yeah, and it's hard though, right? It's hard towing that line when people, as soon as they get extra money, they just expand their spending.
Yeah.
So you never get to the point where I can tithe because I got a 3% raise at work. Woo! Let's go get this new car.
Well, that's why they ask for your W-2. Some churches do.
That's my point. Like they're not scared to ask for their money. They're not scared to ask for their money
because they got to worry about home first. They got to worry about the church first.
Exactly. But congratulations on your raise.
I see your tithe check didn't go up.
Brother Mankarel, stand up for everybody. This is a blessed man right here. God saw this man. What he like, and then once again, they're gonna expect that money. So they want to take care of their house. But they're not pushing that by any means. That they're going to do what's best for them. But that $100 life insurance plan might be what's best for you. Are they encouraging that the same way they encourage you to tithe? My thing is the message. And even if it's not that, it could be the messaging. Hey, I know it's tough, but to make sure it's not tough for the next generation, here are things we can do. Like they don't even have to ask for money. Like, do they preach the messaging of preparing a legacy or building a legacy for the next generation? And I very rarely have heard that in the church.
Yeah. And to our insurance salesmen out there, I would get a group life package together for churches and go start presenting to some boards. hey, how per head inside of your church, I can do, like you said, $50 a year per person for a $10,000 policy, $50 a year. So boom, you got 100 people in your church. That's $5,000. That's all I'm asking for. $5,000 for a whole year for your church, and everybody in your church will have insurance. And you just sold, a huge policy.
And help the community. And then you're just building it. Then the church can double that. I'm going to match that 5,000. I'm going to have that same 10,000 on everybody in the church. Or maybe every...
No, I'm saying not even individual. I'm saying to the church, and the church pays it. Use those, like you said, use those tithes that people off, and the church pays it. So now every time a new member comes in, it's kind of automatically covered in there. Like I don't know if you have insurance at your job. My job,
yeah.
When you come in, you automatically got, like, we do 2 times your salary or whatever. So 2 times your salary is already covered in the insurance policy. You know that you're getting that from it.
So do you see where I'm coming from more now? Like there's ways if they are really
there's definitely ways around it. I don't disagree with you. I'm looking at it from the realist point of view of their priorities are not there.
Yeah. But if one person in that church dies a year and they get a portion of that, because they can they can make sure they get part of it, they can make their money back or more. So my thing, I'm not saying it's necessarily the church has to make a financial obligation, or it's the message that the church, I feel like, doesn't have a positive message when it comes to finances or building a legacy for our families in the Black community. And I'm done.
All right. So it's on me?
Yep.
I want to talk about Joe Biden in his first, 3 weeks we've been in right now. He has been going hard with the pen. All of his executive actions and his administration. And I'm just happy that we've gotten back to a boring administration. Like, there's no scandals, and like every day it's a new tweet with something crazy going on. Like it's a normally functioning government again. But with that, Janet Yellen was confirmed, I think, as the Treasury Secretary. And so one of the first things that she talked about doing was going ahead and restarting putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. So the Tubmans are coming out finally. And with that, I've seen a whole bunch of posts with folks that saying, why is she doing that? And they ain't talking about reparations. I mean, literally, he's been in 2 weeks and they already he ain't passed reparations yet. So I wanted you guys' take on is going ahead and pushing forward with Tubman on the $20 bill progress for Black America to just have that image there. But then is it enough? And, should we be pushing for more faster?
It's not progress, but I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, it's great to have such a significant figure in our history on our currency. But I don't know if I can look at it as progress. It's not going to help someone get a home in a white neighborhood. It's not going to help someone trying to get hired, among 5 white males. It's not going to help with the sentencing that these judges hand down, but I like it. And man, it just, that question I asked a few weeks ago, like sometimes I can see how someone on the outside is always saying, man, like, what will make Black people happy? Because like you said, he's really been in there. This Wednesday coming up will make 2 weeks he's been in office. And to say he hasn't addressed reparations yet, like, dude, like, damn. like the Trump scent hasn't even left the White House yet, man. Like, give it time. Like, I even saw where he stopped the privatization of prisons federally. Mm-hmm. And people criticizing that. Like, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's only a small portion. Like, okay, but it's still a step towards something. Like, to me, even his speech at the inauguration, I would have to look and see, but I think he's the first president that I've ever heard like call out white supremacy. Like not
he is. Yeah.
Like not talk around it, like call it out word for word what it was. So listen, we all know Joe Biden's past. We know his history. We know about the whole, the 3 strikes law and the calling Obama smart and clean and all that good stuff like that. We know that. But what we had 2 weeks prior and the previous 4 years compared to, like you said, rather these last 2 weeks where the presidency is boring, that right there, that's what's progress. That is major progress. Like my phone is not blown up. Like Twitter is like a much calmer place now without who on there. Like it's such a better place, man. So I can't say that Harriet Tubman is progress. I do like it. And if you want to say, well, it's good for our kids to see someone on there. I mean, okay, that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of other places you can take kids to see prominent Black people, but that's great. And plus, I mean, how many people are actually even using cash these days anyway? So no, it's not progress, but yes, I do love it. And no, I'm not as critical as some are right now. I'm going to give him time. Like there's still time. I do want him to be held accountable, but there's time. So let's see what he does.
Thanks, I guess. I mean, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? That's cool. And I'm not saying that to be sarcastic. It's cool. I appreciate it. I don't think anybody who is amongst the movers and shakers of the Black community think that's their olive leaf or olive branch to reparations. Well, we gave them Harriet Tubman. Like they gave us a $20 bill. Cool. Like it is what it is. Like it's not news. It's like, oh, appreciate that. That's cool. Like, it's nothing big, not enough to have that's all we're going to get. No, but it's cool. Like they put some breadcrumbs on the mac and cheese. It's not going to make or break the dish. It's cool. We want to see where it's going to go. Give him time. He is doing stuff. Buff mentioned what he's doing with prison reform. I mean, being in the healthcare world, the fact that he's opened up the government health insurance
the exchange again,
Obamacare exchange for the next 3 months or 2 months. I think April 1st is the last day. It's huge. It's huge. When I saw that, I was sitting there going through my phone and going through my memory, like, who was I talking about that need? Because I know somebody needs it. And from personal experience, thank God for the exchange. My stepdad, and I mentioned this last week, had a stroke 2 weeks ago. And luckily, we were able to get him health insurance on the exchange in November before open enrollment closed. If this would have been this time last month, we'd have been screwed. That's why Obamacare, that's why free healthcare is important for people who can't afford it. Or discounted healthcare for people who can't afford it. So that's going to probably save somebody's life. That's probably going to save the livelihood of some family where they don't have, if they take advantage of it, there's not going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in healthcare bills. That's huge. To me, that's way bigger than a $20 bill. So thank you, President Obama, for that alone. Give him time. I'm pretty sure we'll find things to criticize him about. We criticize everybody. That's what our generation does. Good job so far, Uncle Joe. I can't say I'll say the same thing next month or 6 months from now. And I'm not going to say criticize. We will express our discontent. We will have high expectations. We're not going to take things sitting down because that's what we're supposed to do. Right. And I think the world we live in is like, you can't be unhappy with somebody's performance and still like them. I think we've gotten to that point where you either like him or you don't. Like, even I go back to LeBron, like people hate LeBron. And if he does anything wrong, they're going to eat it up. And he's a bum. Like, dude is one of the most he might not be the GOAT to some, but he's one of the most talented people ever touch a basketball ever. And so, if we'll criticize LeBron, we're going to criticize Joe Biden. They're just waiting their time. So good luck, Joe. Keep doing it.
Speaking of LeBron, they're hoping he runs for the Senate in Ohio.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw that.
That's gonna, I can see it though.
Yeah, I personally think he's more powerful not being in the Senate, but hey, I work there. I'd be for
it. But I think a little bit of that power is going to wane as he gets out of the game, though. And so I think once he retires, it does make sense for him to kind of use that celebrity to move into something where he can start making real change on a larger, grander scale than, just his money locally with, his schools and stuff like that. I think it's not a horrible play for him to move into politics, truthfully. Just like we were talking about needing people that think like us, look like us, that will support us in those places of power and positions of power. I think it's a good thing. So for me, I do think it's progress, not a lot. I think it's a baby step. I think it is a step with putting Tubman on there because, again, representation matters. We talk about it in anything else. Mm-hmm. And having her there is a statement that we belong. It is our America too. And so I think it adds a little bit of gravity to it, that putting her on there, than just a thank you or just okay, you did it. It is a big deal. I mean, for 200 and some odd years, we've had some old white guys on there. Now to have not only a female, but a black female on there is a huge shift. And so I think it's a big deal. A baby step towards all of that progress that you're talking about. Everything, it's a journey of 1,000 steps starts with the first step, right? Or 1,000 miles, I think it is. Journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. That's what that's what this is. It's just one more step of us with equal representation, equal opportunity, equal ability to be able to do things. Go ahead, Ferg.
My thing was, I'm not knocking that, but he didn't implement it. Like, he didn't get the ball rolling. He just kind of like, Trump nixed it, I'm gonna get it back going. So if he and I'm not knocking. I'm saying I agree with the beauty of the gesture, like having Harriet Tubman. I want to make sure that, and I'm not discrediting what you. I want to make sure people understand. That's what I'm not discrediting the $20, because I was kind of the harshest on it. It's more so like, yeah, we agreed on this. We thought it was a great thing. We were excited when it first happened. Trump the shit. And Joe Biden's like, that was stupid. Let's put it back into action, which I appreciate. And the fact that he did it so quick, now that I think about it, it was one of the first things he wanted to do. Speaks volumes as well. But I definitely appreciate the gesture. And I appreciate it the first time. I guess I didn't see it as big of a deal, kind of like getting things back to, even like how he's getting Obamacare back together. It's like we were there. We had this idiot in the house come rip everything up, and now we're getting back. He didn't decorate the first time. I want to see what he's going to do on his own, and I'm going to critique that more than him re-implementing stuff that was set up in the past.
Yeah, I can see that. He's the responsible adult coming cleaning up after the house party. Like, putting all the pizza boxes, cussing while he doing it, but he So, but that's all I had, man. Buff, what you got for us, man?
All right, I'll try to bring us home real quick, man. So there was a post in a group that I'm in. I think you guys are in it too. I know Ferg is in it. But I wanted to just real quick talk about it. I'm going to read this to you guys and then ask the question. The post said, "This fool has basically told us to kiss his ass. He can't relate to things that happen to us, as if our buying his music isn't the reason he's rich. He's a Trump supporter and probably bought a pardon. I wouldn't listen to his music if they were playing it in the streets. Stop supporting black people who don't want to be black when it counts." And I'm not arguing with anyone supporting him either. He's talking about Lil Wayne. So as we know, we talked about Lil Wayne and how he came out with his support for Trump. And then not long after, he was charged with, weapons, guns, something. He got charged with something. But Trump pardoned him before he left office, so he's a free man. So in listening to that, what I just read, knowing how you feel about Trump, had you been in the same situation, would it have been worth it to you to do what Wayne did and in exchange not have to worry about facing jail time? Was it worth it?
I mean, they called Tekashi 6ix9ine a snitch and everything, and that and then you remember when T.I. did his little PSA after he got locked up and everybody like went in on him.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same thing. I feel like Wayne did what he needed to do to get his pardon, because he probably knew that those charges were coming, and he was going to need that pardon. So it's. I see what old buddy's talking about with, stop supporting them if they don't want to be black when it hits the fan. But like we talked about earlier with Wayne, ain't nobody like listening to the Wayne when it comes to politics. Like, that's I think why we had such a hard time with Kanye, because Kanye actually had a following. Like he had our respect on the political level. He literally got up in front of the world and said George Bush don't care about black people. Like, he called it out, and to see that shift and that switch was what like really confused everybody there. And so I don't know, man. I'm probably gonna keep listening to Wayne, but it's not like I like super listen to Wayne now. Anyway, if it comes up on my timeline or my feed, I'll listen. But at this point, I have to say I probably have semi-forgiven Kanye. I didn't cancel him. I won't skip his songs anymore. For a couple of years, I would literally skip his songs when they came on. I was like, nope, he ain't getting my money from this stream, and so I'd skip it. So I think I'm probably on the same level with both of them at this point.
I can't blame or fault Wayne for how he thinks or feels. He is who he is. Would I have done the same thing in that situation? Who knows? I want to think I have a better moral compass, and when I draw my line in the sand of what I will do. But that's neither here or there. I think as the inventors of cancel culture, that is all talk. We're the first people that say we need to cancel this person, cancel that person, and then we come back and we invite them back to the picnic. We forgive and forget, especially if they got some dope music. If Wayne drop a dope CD next week, this will be forgotten. If Kanye would have made this statement at the height of his career, right after college dropout, that would have been forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Or late registration, any of that. Like it happens to be that these people aren't making the same quality of music and they're not as prevalent as they were. I think if we're going to cancel somebody, if we're going to say we're going to stop supporting somebody, we need to mean it, because there's can't stop Wayne from doing what he's going to do. And I can't tell the next man to stop or support somebody or don't support somebody. But at the same time, if there's a conscious effort, there's no real downfall to getting out of the graces of black people, because there's a good chance that we're going to forgive you. It's a good chance we're going to move on. Who are we mad at? Who, out of all the people we canceled, who are we still mad at?
Chrisette Michele. Still mad at her.
But she was never that dude like that.
Yeah, she wasn't relevant like that. Yeah, but I'm still mad at her.
If Beyonce would have did it, they would have forgave her. She would have came out with a new album,
they would have made it. They would have made an excuse for her and not even been mad. They wouldn't even canceled her.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's maybe kind of still Bill, and everybody still we never
R. Kelly. They're still mad at R. Kelly.
They still bumping his music. Like hell, we never concluded.
Buff came off mute. He was about to say something.
I don't think enough people are mad at R. Kelly, to be honest.
That's what I'm about to say. I don't think we ever got the vote. The tally was never in. We just assumed we should do a roll call vote, because the yays were just loud, the nays just were quiet. You know, I don't think we completely cancel people. Mm-hmm. And there's no downfall to it. So, hell, Wayne was strategic and smart.
Selfish, but strategic and smart.
But if you're gonna screw over anybody, why not us? Because we're gonna forgive you.
And it may have been a little bit of he knew he wasn't gonna move the needle, too. It might have been a really strategic move, like, yeah, I'll come out and say I support you. I know ain't nobody gonna listen to me, so why not?
Yeah. So listen, Wayne has already been to jail, and I'm sure that's probably somewhere he doesn't want to go again. I know I never want to go to jail. So like, we can't say, oh man, with all his money, good lawyers, he could have fought it and not went. No, he's already fought charges before and went to jail for it. So I could see him not wanting to take that risk. If you look at it, he really did. And I need to come out and say, I like Lil Wayne's music. So if you disagree with what I'm about to say, then you could just chalk it up. Oh, he's just a fan of Lil Wayne. But he really did the minimum. Like, he came out, what was it, a week and a half or 2 weeks before the election, and he took a picture and made a tweet about it. Like, he wasn't like stomping in Florida and Pennsylvania and like all the battleground states, introducing Trump and like writing a song about him and stuff like that.
Who was that, Lil Pump or somebody that came out on stage?
Yeah, Lil Pump. Like, Lil Pump could come deliver my pizza right now with a shirt that said Lil Pump, and I wouldn't know it was Lil Pump.
But didn't Trump get his name wrong or something?
So right, he did. So he you know, I get why he did what he did, but here's my thing. I'm not mad at anybody who's mad at him for that, because Lord knows Trump is one of the worst human beings we've ever had. And I disagree with what Wayne did, but I get it. But can we start really picking and choosing better reasons to so-called cancel people? So like, you brought up R. Kelly. Like, there were a lot of people in that post thread. They ain't cancel R. Kelly for what he did. They ain't cancel. They bent over backwards to defend Bill Cosby for what he did. Hell, if you want to get mad at Wayne for something, shit, years ago, he spoke out about Black Lives Matter and how that doesn't matter to him. Or even before that, he has in a lyric, how do you say was never said, beautiful black woman, I bet that look better red. That's more offensive, I would think, to a lot of women than what he did with Trump. So there are a lot of things, like, who's canceling Dr. Dre for the way he's beat his women in the past? I got on Beats headphones right now. So I was on a nice little roll, too. I was on a nice roll.
That Basquiat sweatshirt is what's the flex. like when you see it, that's a Basquiat sweatshirt.
Okay, it's okay. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up because they have thrown me off of my soapbox because they're idiots. but no, man, we just gotta, that's cool. You want to cancel Lil Wayne like that? I mean, I'm not going to pay to go to a concert of his anymore. I'm not going to put money in his pocket, but I'm still going to listen to his music. I need music when I go to the gym, and a lot of his songs are the ones that I bump. And I'm not going to stop doing that. But if that's what you choose to do, fine. But going forward, let's pick better reasons to cancel people.
We're not going to cancel him.
You think if he drops something hot, people are going to forget all about it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've already forgot that they were supposed to cancel Wayne.
Yeah. Like, let's be honest. You got to think all the people and places we've canceled.
Yeah. It was a lot of
Chick-fil-A.
Rouse's. Is Rouse's still on cancel?
Chick-fil-A got that spicy grilled chicken. That joint is hitting.
Oh, man.
It's hitting, bro.
Is it good?
Yes, sir.
And that was the deluxe, too, right?
We've canceled Walmart, right? Target. What haven't we canceled?
Gucci, Burberry. I still see a lot of Gucci flexing on the book. So maybe the boycotts have like a time limit, and then it expires and it's all good again. I don't know.
Then what's the point?
Dove, we canceled Dove.
Didn't even know about that one.
That was dumb and like no context around the commercial anyway.
Pepsi.
When we cancel Pepsi?
Remember they made the commercial
when they created it because it's nasty.
Yeah, well, they made a commercial pretty much making it seem like Pepsi was the answer to police violence. Like they had a chick hand the policeman a Pepsi, and like they didn't beat her ass. When it was one of the Kardashians, as a matter of fact.
It was a Kardashian chick too. Wait a minute.
Yeah, so that's all I got, man. I wanted to do something short because I know we're running up against time.
So yeah, let's go ahead and close it on out, fellas. What do you have?
So real quick, we're talking about canceling people. So Chad Wheeler, I guess he was like an offensive lineman for the Seattle Seahawks. He's like a second stringer. Not anybody prominent, but he beat the brakes off his fiance, girlfriend, wife, or whatever she is. I just want to say how I appreciate people, bringing that to the attention of mainstream media and really putting it out there and defending this sister. Like, that's how I want us to always be. I have my reasons for why it was like that this time versus other times, which to me makes it less about the victim and more about a whole black and white thing. But for now, I'm just going to be naive and not care about that part and just appreciate that we have come to her defense and rightfully call this dude out. Hopefully he won't play in the NFL again or will be severely punished, whatever the case may be. It was just kind of cool to see everybody rally around something that the three of us are we speak out against domestic violence quite a bit for three men especially. So it was kind of cool to see that. One last thing, HBO Max is premiering a Denzel Washington movie called The Little Things. I can't vouch for it, but I love Denzel Washington, so I'm going to check it out. I hope it's good. So that's something for you to watch if you're looking for something to watch.
So for me, man, only thing I want to say is thank you guys. We say it almost every episode, but I wanted to specifically call it out this time. Thank you guys for all the support, the shares, the likes, the listens, all that. And want to call out, I got on my Three Brothers No Sense long sleeve tee right now. So check out threebrothersnosense.com. Go get your merch, get the word out. Again, great deals, great prices on there. Let us know if there's anything else you want to see on there. And keep supporting us, man. That's all I got.
I'm going to keep it really quick. By the time this episode drops, it will be the first day of February, the beginning of Black History Month. I know we try not to just focus on us during February, but let's take some time this month, this year, and reflect. So to you brothers, to our guests, happy Black History Month. We're going to keep it interesting. We're going to keep it informative. Appreciate you. Three Brothers No Sense. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.